Javier's helping surprise. Javier loved to build towering castles with his colorful blocks. Click, clack, stack. But today, he noticed his mom looked a little tired. She moved around the house like a sleepy butterfly, tidying up toys and wiping up spills. "I'm going to rest my eyes for just a minute," Mom said with a soft yawn, sitting in her favorite comfy chair. A secret idea popped into Javier's head. It was a surprise idea. He tiptoed over to his messy pile of toys. "Time for a secret mission," he whispered. First, he gathered all the race cars and parked them in their garage box. Vroom? Then, he collected the dinosaurs and put them back in their jungle bin. Roar! But there were still so many blocks. His arms were starting to feel like wiggly noodles. Next, Javier saw the basket of clean laundry. "I can fold this," he thought. He picked up a big, fluffy towel. He tried to fold it once, then twice, but the towel was bigger than he was. Soon, he was all wrapped up like a little burrito. "What's going on here?" a gentle voice asked. Mom was awake, and she was smiling. She saw the tidy toy corner and the towel burrito boy. "Were you trying to help me, sweetie?" she asked, her voice full of warmth. Javier nodded, his cheeks a little pink. "It's a big job," he said. "Well," said Mom, "big jobs are easier for a team. How about we become team cleanup?" She held out her hand for a high five. Together, they folded the laundry. Mom made a shirt look like a little square, and Javier tried to copy her with the small washcloths. They made a tall tower of folded clothes. "Our tower is taller than your castle." Mom laughed. Team cleanup was unstoppable. They put the last of the blocks away and fluffed the pillows on the sofa. With 2 people working, the house was tidy in no time at all. It felt like magic. "Look," said Mom, pointing to the clock. "We finished so quickly. We have extra time to play before dinner." Javier's eyes lit up. "Can we build a castle together?" he asked. "Of course," said Mom. As they built the biggest, most colorful castle ever, Javier felt a happy warmth inside. Helping was a wonderful surprise, but doing it together was the best adventure of all. Nico and the Forgotten Homework. Nico had a brand new, super fast toy rocket called the Star Blazer. It was bright red with silver fins, and all he could think about was whooshing it through the sky. After school, he thought, we're going on a mission to Mars. As soon as he got home from school, Nico dropped his backpack by the door. Thump! The Star Blazer was waiting. He grabbed it and ran into the backyard, ready for adventure. "Nico," his mom called from the kitchen, "don't forget you have homework." "I'll do it later," Nico shouted back. He was too busy to think about math right now. VROOOSH. The Star Blazer soared past the flowers and circled the big oak tree. "We're entering the asteroid belt," Nico narrated, ducking behind a bush. Just then, the phone rang. It was his best friend, Leo. "Can I come over to play rockets?" Leo asked. "Yes," shouted Nico. When Leo arrived, he asked, "Did you finish your homework?" Nico shuffled his feet. "Not yet," he mumbled. "I wanted to play first." Leo held up his own rocket. "I did mine as soon as I got home," he said. "Now I don't have to worry about it." Nico decided his homework could wait just a little longer. The 2 friends had a blast. Their rockets raced each other to the clouds and explored the alien planet of the vegetable garden. They laughed and ran until their cheeks were as red as the Star Blazer. Snack time, Mom called. As they ate cookies, Mom asked gently, "Nico, what about that homework?" A worried feeling started to bubble in Nico's tummy, right next to the milk and cookies. Soon, it was time for Leo to go home. "See you tomorrow," Leo waved. Suddenly, the backyard felt quiet, and the fun was over. Nico looked at the setting sun and remembered the math worksheet still sitting in his backpack. Nico sat at his desk, but he was tired from playing. The numbers on the page looked wiggly, and it was hard to think. "I wish I did this first," he sighed. His mom sat with him. "When you take care of your responsibilities first," she said softly, "your playtime is much more fun because you don't have to worry." The next day, Nico knew just what to do. He marched right to his desk and finished his homework before anything else. And when he ran outside, the star blazers seemed to fly even higher. He had the whole afternoon to play with no worries at all. Mariana's day without screens. Mariana loved her shiny tablet. She could watch cartoons, play games, and draw sparkly pictures all day long. One sunny morning, her mom said, "Mariana, today is a no-screens day. Let's have an adventure outside." Mariana frowned. "But it's boring outside," she grumbled. Her mom just smiled and took her hand. "I promise you'll find magic out here too." They stepped into the backyard. The sun was warm on their skin, and a little bluebird was singing a cheerful song from a branch on a big oak tree. "What kind of magic?" Mariana asked, kicking at a stray dandelion. Her mom pointed to a big, leafy bush covered in pink flowers. "The magic of hide and seek," she whispered. Mom covered her eyes and started counting. 1, 2, 3. A giggle escaped Mariana's lips. She dashed behind the big bush, crouching down so her mom couldn't see her. She peeked through the leaves, her heart thumping with excitement as her mom called out, "Ready or not, here I come." After their game, Mariana lay on the soft grass and looked up at the sky. A big, fluffy cloud drifted by. "That one looks like a fluffy sheep," she said, pointing. "And that one looks like a dragon," her mom added, lying down beside her. Suddenly, a tiny ladybug with a shiny red back landed on Mariana's finger. It tickled as it crawled with its tiny legs. "Hello, little friend," Mariana whispered, watching it closely. She had never noticed how perfect and beautiful a ladybug was before. Next, Mom brought out a big bucket of soapy water and a bubble wand. Mariana dipped the wand in and blew gently. A huge, shimmering bubble floated up, up, up into the air, reflecting a rainbow of colors in the sunlight. She and her mom chased the bubbles, laughing as they popped on their noses. They ran and jumped until they were both breathless, collapsing in a happy pile on the grass. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Mariana gave her mom a big hug. "You were right, Mommy. There is magic outside, the best kind of magic." That night, as Mariana snuggled into bed, she didn't think about her tablet at all. She dreamt of fluffy cloud sheep, tickly ladybugs, and chasing rainbow bubbles in the warm sunshine. She couldn't wait for her next outdoor adventure. Carlos and the puppy on the street. Carlos was walking home from the park, happily kicking his red soccer ball. Tap, 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 it went against the sidewalk. Suddenly, he heard a tiny sound, like a soft whimper, coming from a nearby alley. Curious, Carlos peeked into the alley. Tucked inside a cardboard box was a tiny puppy. It was all alone, shivering, and looking very scared. "A puppy," Carlos whispered excitedly. He rolled his soccer ball toward the box. "Want to play?" But the puppy just whimpered and tucked its tail between its legs. Carlos looked closer and saw that the puppy's fur was dirty, and it looked very hungry. A wave of sadness washed over Carlos. This little puppy didn't need a game. It needed help. "It's okay," he said in a soft voice. "I'll take care of you." Very carefully, he reached into the box and gently scooped up the shivering pup. He carried the puppy all the way home. "Mom, look what I found," he said, walking into the kitchen. His mom looked up, surprised. "Oh, you poor little thing," she said, seeing the tiny animal in Carlos's arms. Together, they prepared a small bath in the sink with warm, soapy water. Carlos gently washed the dirt from the puppy's fur, while his mom held it steady. The puppy started to relax, enjoying the warmth. After drying the puppy with a soft towel, they set down a small bowl of food and another of water. The puppy gobbled up the food so fast it made Carlos giggle. It was the best sound he had heard all day. "Having a pet is a very big job, Carlos," his mom said as they watched the puppy drink. "They need food, water, walks, and lots of love every single day. It's a promise to always be kind and take care of them." Carlos looked at the little puppy, whose tail was now giving a tiny wag. He knew his mom was right. "I promise," he said seriously. "I'll be the best friend he's ever had." I think I'll name him Lucky." From that day on, Carlos and Lucky were inseparable. They played with the red soccer ball in the backyard, but Carlos always made sure Lucky had fresh water and a shady spot to rest. Carlos learned that caring for someone and being kind was the best game of all. Paula's crumpled drawing. Paula sat at her little red table, her favorite crayon spread out like a rainbow. Today, she was going to draw the best picture ever for her big brother, Leo. "I'm going to draw a lion," she declared to her teddy bear, Barnaby. "A big, brave, roaring lion." She chose the sunniest yellow for the lion's body and the brightest orange for its mane. She drew a round head and a long, swishy tail. But when she tried to draw the big, fluffy mane, it didn't look right. The lines were wobbly and crooked. "It looks silly," she mumbled. Paula tried again, pressing harder with the crayon. But the mane just looked messier. A frown crept across her face. This wasn't the brave, roaring lion she had imagined. It was a scribble-scrabble lion. With a frustrated sigh, Paula scrunched up the paper. Crumple, crinkle, crunch. She squeezed it into a tight little ball and tossed it into the corner. Her perfect drawing was ruined. Just then, her brother Leo walked in. "What's wrong, Paula?" he asked, noticing her sad face. Paula pointed to the crumpled ball of paper. "My lion is all wrong," she whispered. Leo picked up the crumpled drawing and gently smoothed it out. The paper was wrinkly, but he could still see the sunny yellow body and the swishy tail. "I see a very brave lion here," he said kindly. "He just has a very special, curly mane." "But it's a mistake," Paula said. Leo shook his head. "Mistakes are just how we learn," he said. "Look," he pulled a folded paper from his pocket. It was a drawing of a superhero with one arm much longer than the other. "This was my first superhero. He has a super stretchy arm." Paula giggled. A super stretchy arm was pretty funny. She looked at her own wrinkled drawing. Maybe the wobbly mane wasn't a mistake after all. Maybe it was a silly spaghetti mane, she said, an idea sparkling in her eyes. Paula picked up her orange crayon again. She added more loops and squiggles to the lion's mane, making it the biggest, silliest, most wonderful spaghetti mane ever. She even added a few meatball-shaped spots. Now her lion was unique. She proudly held up the finished picture for Leo. The paper was still a little crumpled, but the lion was magnificent. "He's perfect," Leo said, giving her a hug. Paula learned that even a crumpled drawing can become a masterpiece, and mistakes are just the start of a new adventure. Anna and Mom's cake. Anna peeked into the kitchen. A big yellow bowl sat on the counter, and Mom was humming a happy tune. "What are you doing, Mom?" Anna asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "I'm making a surprise cake," Mom said with a wink. "Would you like to be my special helper?" Anna's face lit up. "Yes," she cheered, rushing to the little stool by the counter. Mom helped her put on a small apron that was just her size. "Every great baker needs an apron," Mom said. "Now, our first job is to mix the flour and sugar. We have to be a team." Mom measured the fluffy white flour, and Anna got to pour it into the big yellow bowl. Poof! A little cloud of flour dusted her nose. Anna giggled. Then, she carefully poured in the sweet, sparkly sugar. "Next, we need eggs," said Mom. She showed Anna how to tap an egg on the side of the bowl. Crack. The egg opened, and Mom helped her guide the yolk and white inside. "We did it together," Anna said proudly. Now it was time to stir. Mom gave Anna a big wooden spoon. Anna gripped it with both hands and started to mix. Round and round she went. It was hard work. "My turn to help the team," Mom said, and she took a turn stirring until the batter was smooth and creamy. "Just one more thing," said Mom, holding up a bottle of milk. Anna reached for it excitedly. But whoops! The bottle tipped, and a little bit of milk spilled on the counter. "Oh no," Anna whispered, her smile fading. Mom smiled and grabbed a cloth. "It's okay, Anna. Spills happen. In a team, we help each other clean up too." Together, they wiped the counter until it was sparkling clean again. Finally, they poured the smooth batter into a pan, and Mom carefully put it in the warm oven. Soon, a sweet, wonderful smell filled the whole house. "Our cake is talking to us," Anna said, sniffing the air happily. When the cake was ready, they let it cool. Then came the best part, frosting. Anna helped spread the fluffy white frosting all over the top. She even got to add colorful sprinkles that looked like tiny rainbows. Mom cut 2 big slices. They sat at the table and took the first bite. It was delicious. "We make a great team, Mom," Anna said with a mouthful of cake. "The very best," Mom agreed, giving her a hug. Making the cake was fun, but sharing it together was the sweetest part of all. Luis and the Lost Ball. Luis had a brand new soccer ball. It was bright red with shiny black patches, and it was his favorite thing in the whole world. "This is the best ball ever," he would shout, kicking it high into the air. One sunny afternoon, Luis took his ball to the park. He ran and dribbled and scored imaginary goals against the big oak tree. He was having so much fun that he didn't notice his mom calling him. "Time to go, Luis," she called again. Luis was so excited to tell his mom about his amazing goals that he ran to her, completely forgetting about his bright red ball. It sat all alone in the middle of the big green field. Later that evening, Luis wanted to play in the yard. "Mom, where's my ball?" he asked. They looked in his room, they looked in the garage, they looked everywhere, but the ball was gone. Luis's eyes filled with tears. "My ball, it's lost," he cried. His mom gave him a big hug. "I know you're sad, sweetie," she said softly. "When we have special things, it's our job to take good care of them." Luis felt terrible. He knew his mom was right. He had been so busy playing that he hadn't been responsible. He missed his bright red ball very much and wished he had remembered to bring it home. The next morning, his mom said, "Let's go back to the park, just in case." As they got closer, Luis saw another little boy kicking a ball, a bright red ball with shiny black patches. "That's my ball," Luis shouted, and he started to run. The other boy's father saw them coming. "Were you here yesterday?" he asked with a kind smile. "My son found this ball after everyone had left." The man handed the ball to Luis. It was his ball. He hugged it tightly. Thank you, Luis said. He felt so happy and relieved to have his favorite toy back. From that day on, Luis was very responsible. Whenever he finished playing, he always put his bright red ball back in its special spot in the garage. He learned that taking care of his things was just as important as playing with them. Sophia's best birthday. Sophia woke up with the sun. It was her birthday. She bounced out of bed, her heart thumping with excitement. Presents, cake, a party, she sang to herself. She couldn't wait to see what surprises were waiting for her. She ran downstairs, expecting to see a mountain of colorful boxes, but the living room was empty. Her mom and dad greeted her with a big hug. "Happy birthday, sweetie," said Mom. "But where are my presents?" Sophia asked, looking around. "Your present this year isn't in a box," Dad said with a smile. "Your present is a whole day of adventures, just for us." The first adventure was a trip to the park. They flew a kite so high it looked like a tiny speck in the big blue sky. Sophia giggled as the wind tugged on the string, and Dad helped her hold on tight. Next, Mom taught her how to make chocolate chip cookies. The kitchen filled with flour and laughter as Sophia mixed the sticky dough with her hands. It was a delicious mess. In the afternoon, they built a giant blanket fort in the living room. They snuggled inside with a flashlight, and Dad told stories about brave dragons and adventurous princesses. For dinner, they made homemade pizzas. Sophia got to choose all her favorite toppings. It was the best pizza she had ever tasted because they had all made it together with her mom. Finally, it was time for cake. It wasn't a big fancy cake from a store, but a small one they had decorated together. As she blew out the candles, Sophia made a wish, even though her day had already been perfect. At the end of the day, as they watched the stars from her window, Sophia hugged her mom tightly. "This was the best birthday ever," she whispered, "even better than toys." Sophia realized that laughter, hugs, and shared adventures were the best treasures of all. The most important gift didn't come in a box with a bow. It was the love and time her family shared together. Valeria's first day at school. Valeria clutched her sparkly unicorn backpack. Today was her very first day of school. Her tummy felt like it was full of jumpy, fluttery butterflies. "What if I don't make any friends?" she whispered to her mom. Her mom gave her a warm hug. "Just be yourself, sweetie," she said. "A little bit of courage is all you need. You'll see." The classroom was big and bright, filled with colorful toys and other children laughing and playing. Valeria held her backpack strap and stood near the door, feeling very small. She saw a boy with curly hair sitting by himself, carefully stacking a tower of colorful blocks. He looked just as quiet as she felt. Valeria took a deep breath. She remembered her mom's words, "A little bit of courage." Her heart beat a little faster, like a tiny drum, thump, thump, thump. She walked over to the boy and his tower. "That's a really tall tower," she said softly. The boy looked up, surprised. A small smile appeared on his face. "Thanks, I'm Leo. Do you want to help me make it even taller?" Valeria's shy feeling started to melt away like a snowman in the sun. "I'm Valeria," she said, taking the block. "Yes, please." Soon, another girl with a big, sparkly bow in her hair came over. "Wow, can I play too?" she asked. "Of course," said Valeria and Leo at the same time. They built the tallest tower in the whole classroom. As they all laughed when it wobbled and tumbled down, Valeria realized her mom was right. With just a little courage, her first day of school had turned into a wonderful adventure. Making friends wasn't so hard after all. Mateo and the borrowed toy. Mateo had a brand new toy, a race car as red as a shiny apple. Vroom, vroom. It was his favorite, and he played with it from morning until night. One sunny afternoon, his friend Leo came to play. Leo's eyes opened wide when he saw the speedy red car. "Wow, Mateo, that's the fastest looking car I've ever seen." "Can I try it, please?" asked Leo, pointing to the shiny toy. Mateo hugged the car tightly to his chest. "No," he said in a small voice, "it's mine." He was worried Leo might scratch it. Leo's smile disappeared. He sat down on the other side of the room. Playing alone wasn't nearly as much fun. Mateo zoomed the car around a pillow, but it didn't feel as exciting anymore. He peeked over at Leo. The room was too quiet. He thought for a moment. Mateo stood up, walked over to his friend, and held out the shiny red car. "You can have a turn," he said. A huge smile spread across Leo's face. "Really?" he asked. Mateo nodded. Leo took the car carefully, his eyes sparkling with happiness. "Let's build a giant racetrack for it," said Mateo. They gathered blocks and books, creating bridges and tunnels all across the floor. They took turns zooming the car down the ramps and through the tunnels. Laughter filled the room. Mateo realized that sharing his car didn't make it less special. It made playtime twice as fun. The wall that grew a jungle. Leo loved to draw. He drew wiggly worms, fluffy clouds, and roaring dinosaurs. But his favorite wall, the big one next to his bed, was empty. "It needs a picture," Leo said to his teddy bear. "A really, really big one." So Leo grabbed his favorite blue crayon and stood on his tiptoes. He stretched his arm as high as it could go, but he could only draw a small blue squiggle near the floor. "Oh, bother," he sighed. "The wall is too big, and I am too small." His mom, Chloe, peeked into the room. "What's the matter, my little artist?" she asked. Leo pointed at the tiny squiggle on the giant wall. "I want to make a big picture, but I can't reach." Mom smiled. "I think I know who can help." Soon, Dad, Ben, came in too. He wasn't holding a crayon. He was holding big rolls of paper. If we work together, Dad said, we can make the biggest drawing in the whole wide world. Swish, flap, tap. Mom and Dad taped the paper all over the big wall. Suddenly, the empty wall wasn't empty anymore. It was a giant, white canvas, just waiting for a story. Leo's eyes grew wide with wonder. "Wow," he whispered. "What should we draw?" asked Mom. "A jungle," shouted Leo, "with a sleepy lion and a cheeky monkey, and a big, happy sun to keep them warm," added Mom. "And a long, winding river for them to drink from," said Dad. Dad drew the big, happy sun, and Mom drew the long, winding river. Leo got to draw the best part. He drew a lion with a funny, fuzzy mane and a monkey with a very, very long tail. They all worked together. Mom added colorful flowers by the river. Dad drew tall, leafy trees for the monkey to climb. And Leo gave the cheeky monkey a bright yellow banana to eat. They giggled as their jungle grew and grew. When they were all finished, they stood back to look. The wall wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with a bright, happy jungle. "We did it," shouted Leo. "You're right," said Dad. "We did it together." That night, as Leo snuggled into bed, he looked at the big jungle on his wall. The lion seemed to smile, and the monkey seemed to wave. It was the best drawing in the world, not just because it was big, but because his whole family had made it, together. The balloon that never stopped flying. Leo had a balloon. It wasn't just any balloon. It was the shiniest, roundest, most wonderful red balloon in the whole park. He held its string tight, feeling it tug and dance, eager to fly. "You're my best friend," Leo whispered to the balloon. But a sneaky gust of wind, a big whoosh, suddenly tickled his fingers and pulled the string right out of his hand. "Oh no," Leo cried. He watched his beautiful red balloon sail up, 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 getting smaller and smaller against the big blue sky. A big tear rolled down Leo's cheek. His mom, Maya, knelt and gave him a warm, gentle hug. "Don't you worry, my sweet boy," she said softly. "That balloon isn't lost. It's a special kind of balloon. It's a dreamer balloon, and it's just starting its adventure." "An adventure?" Leo sniffled, looking up at his mom. "Yes," she said with a smile. "Right now, it's probably flying over the tallest buildings, waving hello to all the people in their windows." Leo thought about that. He imagined his little red balloon peeking into office windows. And then, he said, his voice full of wonder, "It will fly over the big, pointy mountains where the sleepy bears are waking up from their naps." "What a wonderful thought," said Mom. "And after the mountains, it will soar over the big, sparkly ocean. It will dip down low to race the splashing dolphins." "Wow," Leo gasped. He imagined his balloon bobbing just above the waves. "Will it go even higher?" "Of course," Mom whispered. "It will fly right past the fluffy clouds, all the way up to say goodnight to the sleepy, smiling moon." Leo giggled. A balloon meeting the moon. It wasn't a sad, lost balloon at all. It was the bravest, most adventurous balloon in the whole world. He felt a happy little bubble of excitement in his tummy. "A dream is like that balloon, Leo," Mom said, stroking his hair. "Sometimes you have to let it go and trust that it will fly to the most amazing places. You just have to imagine how high it can go." Leo looked up at the endless sky. He couldn't see his balloon anymore, but he could feel it in his heart, flying past the stars. He smiled a big, happy smile. His balloon was on an amazing adventure, and he knew that one day his dreams would be too. The star that fell from the sky. High above the sleepy, quiet world, in a blanket of deep, dark velvet, lived a little star named Alara. She loved to twinkle and shimmer with all her might, nestled among her thousands of brothers and sisters. One night, Alara peeked down at the world below. She saw sparkling city lights and winding rivers that looked like silver ribbons. "Oh, how wonderful!" she gasped, leaning a little too far, and with a tiny whoosh, she tumbled right out of the sky. She landed softly, like a feather, in a field of moon-dusted flowers. But here on the ground, her light felt small and lost. "I don't belong here," she whispered, her twinkle dimming with sadness. Just then, a wise old owl with big, round eyes landed on a branch nearby. Who are you?" he hooted gently. "I'm Ilara," she sniffled. "I've fallen from my home, and I've lost my shine." The owl blinked slowly. "Lost? Or just in a new place?" he asked. "Sometimes, a light is needed most where there is darkness." Ilara thought about the owl's words. She began to wander through the quiet woods. Soon, she saw a magical sight. Dozens of tiny lights were dancing in the air, blinking on and off. "What are you?" she asked the little bug resting on a leaf. "We are fireflies," the bug buzzed happily. "We may not be as big as the stars in the sky, but we fill the forest with our own special glow. This is where we belong." Ilara continued her journey and came to a small, still pond. It was so dark, it looked like a puddle of fallen sky. She saw her own sad reflection looking back at her. But then, she noticed a single, beautiful water lily closed up tight for the night. Remembering the fireflies, Ilara had an idea. She floated over to the flower and settled gently on one of its petals. She closed her eyes and began to shine, not with sadness, but with a soft, warm, and steady glow. When the first rays of morning sun touched the pond, a miracle happened. The water lily slowly opened its petals, and there, in the very heart of the flower, was Ilara, making the morning dew on the petals sparkle like 1,000 tiny diamonds. Ilara was no longer a lost star from the sky. She was the star of the pond, the light in the lily. She learned that no matter how far you fall or where you land, everyone has a special place to share their light and make the world a little more beautiful. The Little Hug Train. In a city full of sleepy houses and quiet streets, lived a little train named Charlie. Charlie wasn't a big, noisy train. He was a special hug train, and his job was the best job in the world. Every night, when everyone was tucked in bed, Charlie would chug out of his station. "Choo-choo," he'd whisper. "Time to share some hugs." His steam puffed out in soft, sparkly clouds. Soon, Charlie heard a tiny sound. "Meow," it cried. Peeking down a narrow alley, he saw a little kitten, all alone and looking very sad. "Don't be sad, little one," Charlie puffed softly. He chugged closer and let out a gentle, warm cloud of sparkly steam. The steam wrapped around the kitten like the coziest, softest blanket. The kitten purred and stretched. The magical hug had made it feel brave. Just then, its mommy cat peeked into the alley, looking for her baby. They rubbed their noses together, happy to be found. Charlie tooted a happy goodbye and chugged along until he reached a quiet park. Sitting all by himself on a bench was an old man, looking down at his shoes with a lonely sigh. Charlie rolled up quietly beside the bench. He puffed out his biggest, warmest, most sparkly hug yet. The magical steam swirled around the man, reminding him of warm cookies and sunny days. A little smile appeared on his face. Feeling very happy, Charlie continued on his way. He looked up at all the dark windows and saw one with a light on. A little girl was standing there, her face sad. She had a bad dream and couldn't fall back asleep. Charlie knew just what to do. He took a deep breath and whoosh, he sent a perfect, sparkly hug cloud floating all the way up to her window. It drifted inside and wrapped around her, chasing all the bad dreams away. The little girl yawned a big, sleepy yawn. She felt safe and cozy now. She climbed back into bed and fell fast asleep. Charlie's work was done. As the sun began to peek over the city, he happily chugged back home to rest. The Happy Memory Box. Lily sat on the floor, a big tear rolling down her cheek. Her favorite teddy bear, Barnaby, had a brand new hole in his arm, and some of his fluffy stuffing was peeking out. "Oh, Barnaby," she whispered sadly. Grandma Rosie came into the room, her smile as warm as a sunbeam. "What's the matter, my little buttercup?" she asked, sitting down beside Lily. "Barnaby is hurt. Lily sniffled. I see, said Grandma Rosie. Sometimes our favorite things get worn out. But I have a secret. The happiest parts of them can never be lost. She brought out a small, polished wooden box with a shiny brass latch. This is a happy memory box, Grandma explained. It holds our most special treasures. Close your eyes and think of a very happy time you had with Barnaby. Lily closed her eyes tight. Lily thought about the time she and Barnaby had a teddy bear picnic in the garden. They shared pretend tea and cookies under the big oak tree. As she remembered, a tiny, sparkly ball of golden light floated out and danced in the air. What is that? Lily gasped. That's your happy memory, said Grandma Rosie, opening the box. The little ball of light zipped inside with a soft tink and glowed warmly from within. Let's try another, said Grandma. Lily thought about cuddling with Barnaby during a thunderstorm, feeling safe and warm. Pop! Another sparkly light, this one a soft, cozy blue, floated from her head and joined the first one in the box. These treasures can never tear or break, Grandma said, closing the lid. Whenever you feel sad, you can open the box and remember, the happiness is always there, waiting for you. Lily looked at Barnaby's torn arm. Then she looked at the box. She thought about all the hundreds of hugs she had given him. A new, bright pink ball of light popped into existence and zipped right through the wooden lid into the box. Lily gave her grandma a huge hug. Barnaby would get a little patch on his arm, but her box was already filling up with treasures. Happy memories that were cozier than any teddy bear and would last forever. Valeria's Rainbow. Valeria loved sunny days. She loved to play in her garden, where the flowers were bright and the bees buzzed happily. But today, the sky was gray, and big, splishy-splashy raindrops started to fall. Oh no, Valeria sighed, watching the rain from her window. My sunny day is gone. Her mom came and gave her a warm hug. I know you're sad about the rain, my little flower, she said. But the rain is important. It helps the flowers grow big and strong. Valeria wasn't so sure. She watched as the rain made puddles in the garden path. The big, bright sunflowers drooped their heads down low. Everything looked sleepy and gray. After the rain, something magical happens, her mom whispered. We just have to be patient and wait. So they waited. They read a book together and drank warm cocoa while the rain pitter-pattered on the roof. Slowly, the pitter-patter stopped. The clouds began to move, and a little piece of blue sky peeked through. Then, a single golden sunbeam shone down right into the garden. Look, shouted Valeria. Her mom came to the window and smiled. Now watch for the magic, she said. Across the sky, a beautiful rainbow began to appear. It started as a faint stripe of red, then orange, then yellow, green, blue, and purple. It stretched like a giant, colorful smile over her garden. It's so beautiful, Valeria cried. All the flowers in the garden seemed to lift their heads, and the raindrops on their petals sparkled like tiny jewels in the sunlight. The rainbow is a promise, her mom said softly. It promises that even after the rain, the sun will shine again. It's like a little bit of hope painted across the sky. Valeria looked at the bright rainbow and smiled. The gray day had brought something wonderful after all. She knew that even on cloudy days, she just had to wait for the hope to arrive. The Dog Who Learned to Listen. Pip was a little puppy with floppy ears and a tail that wiggled and wagged all day long. Pip loved his best friend Leo more than anything. But Pip had a tiny problem. He was not a very good listener. Pip, come here, Leo would call. But Pip would be too busy chasing a bouncy red ball to hear. One sunny afternoon, Leo took Pip to the big, grassy park. Stay close, Pip, said Leo. But just then, Pip saw a beautiful blue butterfly. He forgot all about staying close. He scampered after the butterfly, his little legs running as fast as they could. The butterfly fluttered high into a big, leafy tree. Pip looked up, but it was gone. He looked around. Where was Leo? He couldn't see him. He couldn't hear him. Pip was all alone, and he started to feel a little bit scared. Hoo-hoo, said a soft voice from above. Pip looked up and saw a wise old owl with big round eyes. "You seem to have lost your friend," the owl hooted. "You were not listening with your ears." "I tried to listen," whimpered Pip. "It's just so hard when there are butterflies to chase." The owl blinked slowly. "Sometimes," he said, "the most important listening is done not with your ears, but with your heart." "My heart?" asked Pip. "How do I listen with my heart?" The owl smiled. "Be very still. Close your eyes and think about your friend. Your heart will show you the way back to him." Pip did as the owl said. He closed his eyes and thought all about Leo. He thought about Leo's happy laugh and the way he gave the best belly rubs. Suddenly, Pip felt a warm little tug inside his chest, pulling him in one direction. He opened his eyes and started to run. He ran past the swings and over a little hill, and then he saw him. "Woof!" barked Pip. Leo was sitting on a bench, looking very sad. When he saw Pip, his face lit up. "Pip, you came back." Leo hugged Pip tight. "I was so worried. I called and called for you." Pip licked Leo's chin. He couldn't say, "I'm sorry," but Leo understood. Pip had learned that listening wasn't just about hearing words. It was about keeping his best friend safe and close. From that day on, Pip was the best listener in the whole wide world. Whenever Leo called his name, Pip would stop what he was doing and run right to him, because he knew that listening with his heart was the best part of being a best friend. The Lamp That Shined Smiles. In a cozy little town lived a girl named Lily. Lily loved things that sparkled and shined. One afternoon, while walking home, she saw a little shop tucked between the bakery and the bookstore. Its windows were full of wonderful, dusty treasures. A little bell tinkled as Lily pushed the door open. Inside, a kind old man with glasses perched on his nose smiled at her. "Hello there," he said. "I'm Silas." Lily looked all around, but her eyes stopped on a small, simple lamp sitting on a shelf. It wasn't shiny or sparkly at all. "That's a very special lamp," Silas whispered. "It doesn't plug into a wall. It shines with smiles." He gently took the lamp down and gave it to Lily. "It's a gift. Take good care of it." Lily rushed home, clutching the little lamp. She put it on her bedside table and gave it her biggest, widest smile. But the lamp stayed dark. She tried making a funny face. Nothing. The little lamp just sat there, dull and plain. The next morning, Lily was playing in her garden when she saw her friend, Tom, trip and fall. "Wah!" he cried. He had a little scrape on his knee, and big tears were rolling down his cheeks. Lily forgot all about her toys. She ran to Tom and helped him up. "It's okay, Tom," she said softly, and she gave him a gentle hug. Tom sniffled and then gave Lily a small, watery smile. "Thank you, Lily," he said. At that moment, Lily felt a warm, happy feeling inside. When she got back to her room, she gasped. The little lamp was glowing with a soft, warm light. Lily finally understood. The lamp didn't shine from her smiles. It shined from the smiles she gave to others. The next day, she helped her mom water the thirsty flowers in the garden. Her mom gave her a big, happy smile. When Lily checked her lamp, it was shining even brighter than before. All week, Lily looked for ways to be kind. She shared her cookies and helped her dad find his keys. With every kind deed, the lamp glowed more and more. Soon, Lily's whole room was filled with the most beautiful, warm light. Lily snuggled into her bed, bathed in the happy glow. She had learned a wonderful secret. The truest, brightest light in the world doesn't come from a lamp. It comes from your own kind heart. Leo's Rainbow Umbrella. Leo loved colors. He had red, orange, and yellow crayons. But when he looked out his window, the world was gray. Gray clouds, gray sky, and gray rain. Rainy days are so boring, Leo sighed. His grandpa saw his sad face. Gray days can hold the best secrets, Grandpa said with a wink. He brought out a plain, dark blue umbrella. "This is for you. It's a magic umbrella." Leo took the umbrella. It didn't look magic. It was just blue. But he put on his yellow raincoat and red boots and went to the front door. "Let's see the secret," he whispered. Outside, the rain went drip, drop, drip on the sidewalk. Leo held the umbrella over his head and pushed the button. Whoosh! It popped open. The first raindrop hit the umbrella, but it didn't just splash. Splat! It turned into a bright red dot. Another drop hit. Splat! It turned into a sunny yellow dot. Soon, every raindrop that hit the umbrella turned into a color. Blue, green, orange, and purple. The colors mixed and swirled together, painting the plain blue umbrella like a rainbow. The colors dripped off the edge of the umbrella. They made a beautiful, swirling rainbow puddle at his feet. Leo laughed and stomped his red boots. Splash! A rainbow wave flew into the air. A friend named Mia saw the colors from her window. She put on her coat and ran outside. "Wow, Leo!" she shouted. Leo held the umbrella over both of them, and they danced in the colorful rain. Grandpa watched from the window. He saw Leo sharing the magic umbrella with Mia. He smiled a big, happy smile. The best secrets, he thought, are the ones you share. When the rain stopped, a giant, real rainbow stretched across the sky. The umbrella turned back to plain blue. Leo hugged it tight. He couldn't wait for the next gray, rainy day. The Island of Forgotten Toys. Barnaby the bear sat alone in the dusty attic. Sunlight peeked through a crack in the roof, dancing on dust bunnies. He was once a beloved teddy, full of fluffy stuffing and warm hugs, but now his button eye was loose, and his fur was worn. A single, sparkly tear rolled down his fuzzy cheek and plopped onto the wooden floor. But this was no ordinary tear. Where it landed, the floorboards began to glow with a soft, swirling light. The light grew bigger and brighter, pulling Barnaby in with a gentle tug. Whoosh! He tumbled through a tunnel of shimmering colors, leaving the dusty attic far behind. He landed softly on a beach made of mismatched buttons. Before him was an island made entirely of toys. There were castles of building blocks, rivers of marbles, and forests of dollhouse trees. But everything was quiet, and the colors were faded and gray. A tin soldier with a bent hat sat staring at the button sea. "Hello," whispered Barnaby. The tin soldier turned slowly. "Hello," he sighed. "Why is everyone so sad?" asked Barnaby. The soldier pointed his tin sword to the quiet island. "We are the forgotten toys," he said. "When no one plays with you, you forget how to have fun. The magic fades." Barnaby thought about his little girl, Lily. He remembered their adventures. They had sailed the bathtub sea and climbed the mountain of pillows. He remembered her laughter. That wasn't forgotten. It was a happy memory, tucked safely in his stuffing. "I remember," he declared. Barnaby found an old shoebox. "This isn't a box," he announced to the tin soldier. "It's a pirate ship, and this lollipop stick is the mast." He stood the stick up in the box. "All aboard for Treasure Island." As Barnaby imagined the ship sailing on a big blue ocean, a funny thing happened. The shoebox began to glow with a rich brown color, and the button sea around it sparkled with blue. The tin soldier wobbled to his feet. "Can I be the captain?" he asked, his voice no longer sad. A rag doll with yarn hair and a little wooden robot saw the bright colors. They shuffled over. "What are you doing?" asked the doll. "We're on an adventure," cheered Barnaby. "Do you want to come?" The rag doll and robot climbed aboard the ship. Soon, all the toys were playing. The block castles became bright and colorful. The marble rivers flowed with sparkling light. The sound of laughter and happy games filled the air. The island of forgotten toys was forgotten no more. It was an island of imagination. As the sun began to set on the island, Barnaby felt a gentle tug. He was back in the attic, but he wasn't sad. He held the memory of the colorful island and his new friends in his heart. He knew that even in a quiet, dusty place, the best adventures were just an imagination away. And he drifted off to sleep, dreaming of his next one. Grandpa's secret recipe. In Grandpa Leo's cozy kitchen, the air always smelled of cinnamon and stories. Today was a special day. Tom and Mia were finally old enough to learn the secret of Grandpa's famous sunshine soup. "Are you ready, my little chefs?" Grandpa Leo asked, his eyes twinkling. Grandpa Leo didn't get a recipe book. Instead, he brought out a big basket of vegetables from his garden. "Every ingredient has a story," he said, holding up a bright orange carrot. "This one remembers the sunny days that helped it grow." Tom's job was to wash the red, ripe tomatoes until they gleamed. Mia carefully plucked the fragrant basil leaves, one by one. They worked together, their small hands busy and their faces serious with concentration. Chop, chop, chop went Grandpa Leo's knife on the wooden board. The vegetables tumbled into a big yellow pot. "Now," he said with a mysterious smile, "we have our vegetables, but the most important part is the secret ingredient." "What is it? What is it?" Tom and Mia bounced with excitement. "Is it a magic spice from a faraway land?" asked Tom. "Is it a super secret cheese?" asked Mia. Grandpa Leo just chuckled and shook his head. "The secret ingredient," Grandpa said softly, "is something we all add together. Close your eyes and think of your happiest memory. Think of a time you felt full of sunshine." Tom thought about playing fetch with his puppy in the park. Mia thought about the warm, safe feeling of her mom's biggest hugs. Grandpa Leo smiled. He was thinking about this very moment, cooking with his grandchildren. "All right," said Grandpa, "let's stir all that sunshine and happiness right into the soup." He gave Tom the big wooden spoon first, then Mia. They watched the colors swirl together, imagining their happy thoughts making the soup even more delicious. Soon, the most wonderful smell filled the whole house. The sunshine soup was ready. Grandpa Leo ladled the golden soup into 3 bowls. It smelled like warm sunshine and happy memories. Tom and Mia took their first spoonful. It was delicious. It tasted like a warm hug. They looked at each other and then at their grandpa, and they knew. The secret ingredient wasn't a thing you could buy at a store. The secret ingredient was love. The wonderful journey of Drip the water drop. Meet Drip. He was a tiny, happy water drop. He lived with all his brothers and sisters in a big, splashy puddle. They loved to wiggle and jiggle and play all day long. One morning, the big, warm sun peeked out. It smiled down on the puddle. "Ooh," said Drip, feeling a strange tickle. "I feel so light." He felt himself starting to float up, up, up. "Whee!" giggled Drip as he drifted higher and higher into the big blue sky. He was lighter than a feather. He waved goodbye to the world far below. He was on an adventure. High in the sky, Drip found lots of other water drops who were floating too. "Hello," they all said. They held hands and snuggled close together, making a soft, fluffy white cloud. More and more water drops joined their party. The cloud grew bigger and bigger, and a little bit gray. "It's getting crowded in here," Drip said, as he was gently squished between 2 new friends. Soon, the cloud was too full and heavy to float anymore. "Whoops!" it wobbled. "Here we go," shouted Drip, and he began to fall, down, 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 back toward the green earth below. He was a raindrop. Drip landed gently on the petal of a thirsty red flower. "Ah, thank you," whispered the flower, taking a long, cool drink. Drip felt very proud that he could help the flower feel better. Then, Drip rolled off the flower petal and plink. He landed in a little stream that was trickling through the grass. "Come on," the stream bubbled. "We have places to go and things to see." The stream flowed into a big river. As Drip rushed along, he saw thirsty deer drinking from the bank and tall trees growing strong. "Wow," thought Drip, "every single drop is so important for everyone." Drip's journey continued in the big, wide river. He knew that soon the sun would smile down again, and his amazing adventure through the sky would start all over, and he couldn't wait. The night the stars woke up, Lily sat on the floor, surrounded by glowing screens and bright lights. The television chattered. A tablet blinked and every lamp was on. But even with all the noise and light, Lily felt a little bit bored. "I have an idea," said her dad, seeing her sigh. "How about we go on a special night adventure?" Lily looked up, curious. "An adventure?" Mom heard them and smiled. "That sounds like a wonderful idea." Together, they went through the house, turning everything off. Click went the TV, click went the tablet, click, click, click went the lights, until the whole house was quiet and dark. Dad opened the back door. "Ready?" he whispered. Lily stepped outside into the garden. It was much darker than she was used to, and for a moment, she couldn't see anything at all. "Just wait a moment," said her mom softly, "and look up." Lily tipped her head back. As her eyes got used to the dark, she gasped. The sky, which was usually just black, was filled with millions of tiny, twinkling lights. "Wow," she whispered. Dad spread a big, soft blanket on the grass. "Come on, stargazers," he said. They all lay down, side by side, their faces turned up to the sparkling sky. Lily snuggled between them. "There are so many stars," she said. "I never see them like this from my window." "That's because all our lights inside make it hard to see them," Dad explained. "The starlight travels a very, very long way to reach us. When we turn off our lights, we give the stars a chance to shine. And when we turn off our lights, we also save energy," added Mom. "Using less electricity helps keep our planet healthy and strong. It's a small thing we can do that makes a big difference for the Earth." Lily looked from the bright stars to her parents' smiling faces. Saving energy didn't just help the Earth. It had let her see this beautiful, secret show in the sky. She decided that turning off the lights was her new favorite superpower. Raoul's gift of life. Raoul sat on the grass, looking at his favorite toy bird. One of its little wooden wings was broken. "You can't fly anymore," he whispered sadly. His grandma came and sat beside him. "What's wrong, my little star?" she asked softly. Raoul showed her the broken bird. "Don't worry," she said with a warm smile. "I know something we can do to help a different kind of bird fly one day." Grandma opened her hand. In her palm was a tiny smooth seed. "What's that?" Raoul asked, leaning closer. "This," she said, "is a promise. It's a baby tree fast asleep." "A baby tree?" Raoul's eyes grew wide. "Yes," said Grandma, "and we're going to give it a home." She picked up a small shovel and a watering can. "Come with me." In a sunny spot in the garden, Grandma helped Raoul dig a little hole in the soft, dark earth. "Every new life needs a cozy bed to start in," she explained. Raoul took the seed and placed it gently in the hole. He covered it with soil, patting it down like he was tucking it into bed. "Is it okay in there?" he asked. "It's perfect," said Grandma. "Now, it's thirsty." She helped Raoul tip the watering can, and a little shower of water fell onto the soil. The water tells the seed it's time to wake up and grow. Looking at the small patch of wet earth, Raoul asked, "Will it be a big tree tomorrow?" Grandma chuckled. "It will grow slowly, a little bit every day, just like you. The sun will give it food and help it stretch towards the sky. And when it's big," she continued, "real birds will build their nests in its branches. It will give us shade on hot days and clean the air we breathe. When you plant a tree, you are giving a gift of life to the whole world." Raoul looked at the spot where his seed was sleeping. He wasn't just sad about his toy bird anymore. He felt happy and proud. He had planted a new home for future birds. He had given the world a new life. Martine the air hero. Martine was ready for an adventure. "Dad, can we go to the park, please?" he asked, pulling on his favorite red jacket. "I want to play on the big slide." "Of course," said his dad. He picked up the car keys, but then he stopped. He looked at Martin's shiny blue bicycle parked by the door. "Wait a minute," he said with a twinkle in his eye. "I have a better idea. Let's go on a mission to help the planet." "A mission?" Martine asked, his eyes wide. "How?" His dad pointed to the bicycle. "Our bikes don't need gasoline like the car. They run on pedal power, and that's a secret superpower." As they put on their helmets, Dad explained. When we drive the car, it makes invisible smoke that goes into the air. It's called pollution, and it makes the air yucky for us, the birds, and the trees. Yucky air? Martin said, wrinkling his nose. That's no good. Exactly, said his dad, but our bikes don't make any smoke at all. When we ride, we help keep the air clean and fresh. We're air heroes. An air hero? I like that, Martin shouted. He pushed off and started to pedal. Whiz! He could feel the cool wind on his face and hear the birds singing in the trees. It was much more fun than being inside the car. They rode past colorful houses and pretty gardens. Martin waved to a neighbor, watering her flowers. He could smell the sweet scent of the roses. The air smells so nice, he called to his dad. That's because we're helping to keep it clean, his dad called back, smiling. Martin pedaled faster, imagining he was a superhero with a cape made of wind, chasing all the yucky smoke away. When they arrived at the park, Martin felt strong and proud. We did it, Dad. We got here with our pedal power, and we made the air happy. As he ran towards the slide, Martin took a big, deep breath of fresh, clean air. Being an air hero was the best mission ever, and he knew that every time he chose his bike, he was helping to take care of his wonderful planet. Miguel's super secret mission. Miguel wrinkled his nose. Mom, why are there so many trash cans? There's a blue one, a green one, and a yellow one. He was helping take out the trash, and it all seemed very confusing. His mom smiled. They aren't just trash cans, Miguel. They're like magic houses for things that can have a new life. It's called recycling, and it's a super secret mission to help our planet. The blue bin is for paper and cardboard, she explained. Your old drawings or cereal boxes can travel from here and become a brand new notebook or a storybook. The yellow one is home to plastic containers and glass bottles. After a magic trip, that juice bottle could turn into a fun toy or even a slide at the park. And the green bin is for leftover food, like banana peels, his mom said. They become superfood to help plants and trees grow big and strong. Wow, Miguel exclaimed. So it's not trash, it's hidden treasure. Suddenly, sorting things felt like a very important game. I'm a planet protector. The next day at the park, Miguel saw a plastic bottle lying on the grass. A treasure outside its house, he thought. He carefully picked it up and took it to the park's yellow recycling bin. His friend Lily saw him. What are you doing, Miguel? He explained the secret of the magic houses for trash and his mission to be a planet protector. Lily loved the idea. Together, the two friends looked for more lost treasures around the park and put them in their proper homes. The park looked cleaner and brighter than ever. Miguel felt very happy. He understood that taking care of the planet was like taking care of his own home. And it all started with a simple game, putting each treasure in its place so the recycling magic could begin. The wall that grew a jungle. Leo loved to draw. He drew wiggly worms, fluffy clouds, and roaring dinosaurs. But his favorite wall, the big one next to his bed, was empty. It needs a picture, Leo said to his teddy bear. A really, really big one. So Leo grabbed his favorite blue crayon and stood on his tiptoes. He stretched his arm as high as it could go, but he could only draw a small blue squiggle near the floor. Oh, bother, he sighed. The wall is too big and I am too small. His mom, Chloe, peeked into the room. What's the matter, my little artist? She asked. Leo pointed at the tiny squiggle on the giant wall. I want to make a big picture, but I can't reach. Mom smiled. I think I know who can help. Soon, Dad, Ben, came in too. He wasn't holding a crayon. He was holding big rolls of paper. If we work together, Dad said, we can make the biggest drawing in the whole wide world. Swish, flap, tap. Mom and Dad taped the paper all over the big wall. Suddenly, the empty wall wasn't empty anymore. It was a giant, white canvas, just waiting for a story. Leo's eyes grew wide with wonder. Wow, he whispered. "What should we draw?" asked Mom. "A jungle," shouted Leo, "with a sleepy lion and a cheeky monkey, and a big happy sun to keep them warm," added Mom. "And a long winding river for them to drink from," said Dad. Dad drew the big happy sun, and Mom drew the long winding river. Leo got to draw the best part. He drew a lion with a funny fuzzy mane and a monkey with a very, very long tail. They all worked together. Mom added colorful flowers by the river. Dad drew tall, leafy trees for the monkey to climb. And Leo gave the cheeky monkey a bright yellow banana to eat. They giggled as their jungle grew and grew. When they were all finished, they stood back to look. The wall wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with a bright, happy jungle. "We did it," shouted Leo. "You're right," said Dad. "We did it together." That night, as Leo snuggled into bed, he looked at the big jungle on his wall. The lion seemed to smile, and the monkey seemed to wave. It was the best drawing in the world, not just because it was big, but because his whole family had made it, together. Grandpa's secret recipe. In Grandpa Leo's cozy kitchen, the air always smelled of cinnamon and stories. Today was a special day. Tom and Mia were finally old enough to learn the secret of Grandpa's famous sunshine soup. "Are you ready, my little chefs?" Grandpa Leo asked, his eyes twinkling. Grandpa Leo didn't get a recipe book. Instead, he brought out a big basket of vegetables from his garden. "Every ingredient has a story," he said, holding up a bright orange carrot. "This one remembers the sunny days that helped it grow." Tom's job was to wash the red, ripe tomatoes until they gleamed. Mia carefully plucked the fragrant basil leaves, one by one. They worked together, their small hands busy and their faces serious with concentration. Chop, chop, chop went Grandpa Leo's knife on the wooden board. The vegetables tumbled into a big yellow pot. "Now," he said with a mysterious smile, "we have our vegetables, but the most important part is the secret ingredient." "What is it? What is it?" Tom and Mia bounced with excitement. "Is it a magic spice from a faraway land?" asked Tom. "Is it a super secret cheese?" asked Mia. Grandpa Leo just chuckled and shook his head. "The secret ingredient," Grandpa said softly, "is something we all add together. Close your eyes and think of your happiest memory. Think of a time you felt full of sunshine." Tom thought about playing fetch with his puppy in the park. Mia thought about the warm, safe feeling of her mom's biggest hugs. Grandpa Leo smiled. He was thinking about this very moment, cooking with his grandchildren. "All right," said Grandpa, "let's stir all that sunshine and happiness right into the soup." He gave Tom the big wooden spoon first, then Mia. They watched the colors swirl together, imagining their happy thoughts making the soup even more delicious. Soon, the most wonderful smell filled the whole house. The sunshine soup was ready. Grandpa Leo ladled the golden soup into 3 bowls. It smelled like warm sunshine and happy memories. Tom and Mia took their first spoonful. It was delicious. It tasted like a warm hug. They looked at each other and then at their grandpa, and they knew the secret ingredient wasn't a thing you could buy at a store. The secret ingredient was love. The Sunday Picnic. Every Sunday, Lily's family had a special tradition, a picnic in Sunny Meadow Park. Dad carried the big wicker basket filled with yummy treats, Mom carried the big checkered blanket, and Lily carried her favorite toy, a bouncy red ball. They found their favorite spot under the big oak tree. "Perfect," said Mom as she and Dad spread the blanket on the soft grass. Out came sandwiches cut into star shapes, juicy strawberries, and crunchy apple slices. While the food was being set out, Lily played with her ball. Boing, boing, boing. It bounced on the grass, and she giggled as she chased it. It was the best ball in the whole wide world. But on one extra big bounce, the ball flew a little too far. It rolled and rolled down a little hill, and splat! It landed right in the middle of a big, muddy puddle. Lily's smile disappeared. Her beautiful, bouncy ball was now covered in sticky, brown mud. "My ball is ruined," she cried, and a big tear trickled down her cheek. "It's okay, sweetie," Dad said softly. "We can clean the ball when we get home, but the picnic is ready, and we have something much more fun to do now." Lily sat down on the blanket between Mom and Dad. They ate their yummy sandwiches and told silly stories. Dad made a funny face with a strawberry on his nose, and Lily giggled so hard she forgot all about her muddy ball. After they ate, they all lay back on the blanket and looked up at the big, puffy clouds. "I see a fluffy sheep," said Mom. "I see a big boat," said Dad. Lily pointed a finger to the sky. "I see a bouncy ball," she shouted, and everyone laughed. She snuggled close to her mom. The muddy ball didn't seem so important anymore. When it was time to go home, Lily was holding her parents' hands. She realized that toys can get lost or dirty, but the best thing in the whole wide world was a Sunday picnic with her family. Mom's Magic Hug. Leo was having a very bad day. His favorite red balloon, the one that looked like a shiny apple, slipped from his fingers and flew away higher and higher until it was just a tiny dot in the big blue sky. A big tear rolled down his cheek, then another. He sat on the park bench, feeling as gray and gloomy as a rainy cloud. His shoulders drooped and his chin wobbled. Just then, Mom found him. She didn't say a word. She just sat down beside him on the bench and opened her arms wide, a warm and gentle invitation. Leo leaned into her embrace. It was a special kind of hug, a mom hug. It was warm like sunshine and soft like his favorite blanket. As she held him close, something magical began to happen. The big, heavy sadness inside his chest started to feel a little smaller, like a pebble instead of a giant rock. Mom's hug was like a cozy sweater, chasing away the chilly feeling of being alone. It was a safe harbor in a stormy sea of tears. He took a deep breath that smelled like his mom and freshly baked cookies. The wobbly feeling in his chin stopped. The tears on his cheeks started to dry. "Better?" Mom asked softly, wiping away the last tear with her thumb. Leo nodded. The balloon was still gone, but the big sadness was gone too. He realized that while balloons might fly away, a mom's hug was something you could always hold on to. It was a special kind of magic that could fix almost anything. And so, holding his mom's hand, Leo walked home, feeling warm and safe, carrying the magic of her hug deep inside his heart. Ember's Braveheart. Ember was a very small dragon who lived on Emberstone Mountain. He loved to watch the big dragon soar high in the sky, doing tricks and breathing mighty flames. He wanted to be strong and powerful, just like them. But Ember's wings were small, and they couldn't carry him very high. "Flap harder," the other dragons would bellow. Ember tried with all his might, but he always ended up tumbling onto the soft grass with a bump. One day, while walking sadly through the forest, he heard a tiny cry. Near a tall tree, a little squirrel had gotten stuck on a branch, too scared to climb down. "Help!" squeaked the little squirrel. Ember didn't think twice. He didn't need to fly to help. Very carefully, he used his small, warm breath to gently warm the branch. The warmth was comforting, not scary, and it made the squirrel feel a little bit braver. "Thank you," chattered the squirrel once he was safely on the ground. "You're very brave." Ember felt happy. He hadn't flown, but his heart felt big and warm. The next day, a fierce windstorm blew across the mountain. A family of bluebirds was in their nest on a branch that was swaying dangerously. The nest was about to fall. Ember couldn't fly up there in such a strong wind, but he saw the branch was about to snap. He ran to the tree and hugged the trunk with all his might to keep it from shaking so much. When the storm passed, The mother bird flew down to Ember. "You saved my babies," she chirped. "Your heart is stronger than any wind." Ember began to understand. He helped a turtle who had flipped onto its back and used his warm breath to melt the frost so the early spring flowers could grow. He didn't need to fly high to be strong. The big dragon saw him and realized that Ember had a different kind of strength, a strength that came from his big heart. And Ember knew that being brave and kind was the greatest strength of all. Sophia's magic flashlight. Every night, when the house fell silent, Sophia would turn on her flashlight. It wasn't because she was afraid of the dark. It was because, for her, the darkness was the beginning of the greatest magic. First, she would play at making shadows with her hands. A dog that barked without a sound, a butterfly that fluttered on the wall, and a bird that flew up to the ceiling. But that was just the warm-up. Then, she would point the light at her favorite stuffed animal, a bunny with long ears. The rabbit's shadow on the wall would stretch, grow, and suddenly, it would hop right off the wall. "Hello, Sparky," Sophia would say. Sparky, the shadow bunny, scurried around the room like a happy patch of darkness. He invited Sophia to play. "Let's go to the shadow jungle," he whispered in a voice that sounded like the rustling of dry leaves. With the flashlight in her hand, Sophia followed Sparky out of her room. The shadows in the hallway were no longer just shadows. They became tall, slender trees that swayed, and the carpet felt like soft moss under her feet. In the living room, the big armchair cast a huge shadow. It was no longer an armchair, but a gentle giant named Rumble. He purred softly as he slept, and his shadowy breath made the leaves of the shadow trees tremble. Sparky quickly climbed up Rumble's side and whispered something in his shadow ear. The giant creature woke up with a yawn that felt like a gentle breeze. He smiled at Sophia. Rumble lowered a soft, dark hand, and Sophia climbed onto it. Together, with Sparky on the girl's shoulder, they traveled through the shadow jungle, meeting laughing shadow monkeys and singing shadow frogs. They had wonderful adventures until the first light of dawn peeked through the window. It was the signal that the magic was ending. Rumble and Sparky waved goodbye as they turned back into the shadows of the furniture. Sophia climbed back into bed, her heart full of adventures. She turned off her flashlight and closed her eyes, knowing that the next night, her friends from the shadow world would be waiting for her. Kitty who didn't need to roar. In a cozy little house lived a tiny kitten named Pipkin. He was very curious and loved to explore. Every day, he watched the big animals outside and wished he could be as brave as them. Pipkin saw a big dog barking loudly. "Woof! Woof!" went the dog. "That's how brave animals sound," thought Pipkin. He tried to bark, "Mew! Mew!" It didn't sound brave at all. Then he saw a mighty lion on TV, letting out a huge roar. R-R-O-O-A-A-R-R. Pipkin puffed out his chest and tried to roar too. "Meow!" he squeaked, still not brave enough. Pipkin felt a little sad. He wanted to be brave, but he just couldn't make a big, scary sound. He wandered into the garden, his tail drooping. High up in an old oak tree, a wise old owl named Barnaby watched him. Barnaby had seen many things and knew that bravery wasn't always about making noise. Suddenly, Pipkin heard a tiny, distressed chirp, chirp, chirp. It was coming from a thorny bush. He carefully pushed his way through the leaves. Inside, a little bird named Rosie was tangled in some vines, her wing caught. She was scared and couldn't fly. Pipkin knew he couldn't roar, but he also knew Rosie needed help. He gently nudged the vines with his nose, and then carefully used his tiny paws to untangle them, one by one. It took a little while, but soon Rosie was free. She shook her feathers and chirped happily. "Thank you, Pipkin," she sang, flying up to a branch. Barnaby hooted softly from his tree. Pipkin realized he hadn't roared, but he had been brave. Bravery, he learned, was helping others and doing what was right, even when you were small. Mateo and the Realm of Forgotten Toys. Mateo was a little bored. He looked out the window, but there was no one to play with. Maybe there's something interesting in the attic, he thought. He climbed the creaky stairs, dust dancing in the sunbeams that peeked through a small window. The attic was full of old boxes and forgotten treasures. In a dark corner, something glowed faintly. Mateo approached curiously and found a small, almost invisible door covered in cobwebs. He pushed the door, and it opened with a soft creak. On the other side, there was no more attic, but a place filled with light and vibrant colors. It was the realm of forgotten toys. There were all kinds of toys, but many looked a little sad. A teddy bear with a torn eye sighed. "No one plays with us anymore," he said in a soft voice. Mateo sat down next to the teddy bear. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm here now." "What's your name?" The teddy bear smiled a little. "I'm Barnaby," he replied. Barnaby introduced Mateo to his friends, a brave wooden soldier named Captain Oak and an elegant porcelain doll named Luna. They were all thrilled to have a visitor. Mateo spent the afternoon playing with them. They built castles with blocks, raced toy cars, and told funny stories. Laughter filled the realm of forgotten toys. As the sun began to set, Mateo knew it was time to leave. "I'll be back," he promised. "You'll never feel forgotten again." The toys waved goodbye with joy. Mateo returned home, his heart full of the magic of his new friends. He knew the attic was no longer just a place of old things, but a doorway to a world of friendship and joy. The Night Dream Express. Ilara couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, her mind buzzing with all the adventures she wished she could have. She sighed and looked out her window at the quiet, starry night. Suddenly, a soft, golden light appeared in the distance. It grew brighter and closer until, with a gentle hiss of steam, a magnificent train pulled up right outside her window. Its windows glowed with a warm, inviting light. A friendly face with a kind smile, wearing a conductor's hat, peeked from the train door. "All aboard for the Night Dream Express," he whispered. Ilara, filled with excitement, didn't hesitate. Inside, the carriage was cozy and filled with other children, all looking just as amazed as Ilara. Soft music played, and the seats felt like fluffy clouds. Everyone was buzzing with quiet anticipation. With a gentle lurch, the train began to move. It didn't roll on tracks, but floated up into the starry sky, leaving the town far below. Swirling colors and sparkling stardust danced outside the windows. "Welcome, dreamers," announced the conductor Bartholomew with a twinkle in his eye. "We're heading to the realm of wildest dreams, where anything you imagine comes true." He gestured to the magical landscape outside. Soon, the train pulled into a station made of shimmering moonlight and candy floss clouds. Children began to disembark, each stepping into their own unique, fantastical dreamscape. Ilara stepped off, and with a whoosh, she found herself soaring through the air. She was flying, just like she always dreamed, above a landscape of marshmallow mountains and rivers of sparkling lemonade. She laughed with pure delight, doing loops and dives, feeling the wind in her hair. She flew past friendly, giggling dragons and raced with swift, feathered creatures, completely free and happy. As the first rays of dawn touched her window, Ilara slowly opened her eyes. She was back in her bed, but a soft glow lingered in the room. She smiled, knowing the Night Dream Express would return, ready for her next adventure. Miguel's super secret mission. Miguel wrinkled his nose. "Mom, why are there so many trash cans? There's a blue one, a green one, and a yellow one." He was helping take out the trash, and it all seemed very confusing. His mom smiled. "They aren't just trash cans, Miguel. They're like magic houses for things that can have a new life. It's called recycling, and it's a super secret mission to help our planet. The blue bin is for paper and cardboard," she explained. Your old drawings or cereal boxes can travel from here and become a brand new notebook or a storybook. The yellow one is home to plastic containers and glass bottles. After a magic trip, that juice bottle could turn into a fun toy or even a slide at the park. And the green bin is for leftover food, like banana peels, his mom said. They become superfood to help plants and trees grow big and strong. Wow, Miguel exclaimed. So it's not trash, it's hidden treasure. Suddenly, sorting things felt like a very important game. I'm a planet protector. The next day at the park, Miguel saw a plastic bottle lying on the grass. A treasure outside its house, he thought. He carefully picked it up and took it to the park's yellow recycling bin. His friend Lily saw him. "What are you doing, Miguel?" He explained the secret of the magic houses for trash and his mission to be a planet protector. Lily loved the idea. Together, the two friends looked for more lost treasures around the park and put them in their proper homes. The park looked cleaner and brighter than ever. Miguel felt very happy. He understood that taking care of the planet was like taking care of his own home. And it all started with a simple game, putting each treasure in its place so the recycling magic could begin. Martin the Air Hero. Martin was ready for an adventure. "Dad, can we go to the park, please?" he asked, pulling on his favorite red jacket. "I want to play on the big slide." "Of course," said his dad. He picked up the car keys, but then he stopped. He looked at Martin's shiny blue bicycle parked by the door. "Wait a minute," he said with a twinkle in his eye. "I have a better idea. Let's go on a mission to help the planet." "A mission?" Martin asked, his eyes wide. "How?" His dad pointed to the bicycle. "Our bikes don't need gasoline like the car. They run on pedal power, and that's a secret superpower." As they put on their helmets, Dad explained, "When we drive the car, it makes invisible smoke that goes into the air. It's called pollution, and it makes the air yucky for us, the birds, and the trees." "Yucky air?" Martin said, wrinkling his nose. "That's no good." "Exactly," said his dad, "but our bikes don't make any smoke at all. When we ride, we help keep the air clean and fresh. We're air heroes." "An air hero? I like that," Martin shouted. He pushed off and started to pedal. Whiz! He could feel the cool wind on his face and hear the birds singing in the trees. It was much more fun than being inside the car. They rode past colorful houses and pretty gardens. Martin waved to a neighbor, watering her flowers. He could smell the sweet scent of the roses. "The air smells so nice," he called to his dad. "That's because we're helping to keep it clean," his dad called back, smiling. Martin pedaled faster, imagining he was a superhero with a cape made of wind, chasing all the yucky smoke away. When they arrived at the park, Martin felt strong and proud. "We did it, Dad. We got here with our pedal power, and we made the air happy." As he ran towards the slide, Martin took a big, deep breath of fresh, clean air. Being an air hero was the best mission ever, and he knew that every time he chose his bike, he was helping to take care of his wonderful planet. Raoul's gift of life. Raoul sat on the grass, looking at his favorite toy bird. One of its little wooden wings was broken. "You can't fly anymore," he whispered sadly. His grandma came and sat beside him. "What's wrong, my little star?" she asked softly. Raoul showed her the broken bird. "Don't worry," she said with a warm smile. "I know something we can do to help a different kind of bird fly one day." Grandma opened her hand. In her palm was a tiny smooth seed. "What's that?" Raoul asked, leaning closer. "This," she said, "is a promise. It's a baby tree fast asleep." "A baby tree?" Raoul's eyes grew wide. "Yes," said Grandma, "and we're going to give it a home." She picked up a small shovel and a watering can. "Come with me." In a sunny spot in the garden, Grandma helped Raoul dig a little hole in the soft, dark earth. "Every new life needs a cozy bed to start in," she explained. Raoul took the seed and placed it gently in the hole. He covered it with soil, patting it down like he was tucking it into bed. "Is it okay in there?" he asked. "It's perfect," said Grandma. "Now, it's thirsty." She helped Raoul tip the watering can, and a little shower of water fell onto the soil. The water tells the seed it's time to wake up and grow. Looking at the small patch of wet earth, Raoul asked, "Will it be a big tree tomorrow?" Grandma chuckled. "It will grow slowly, a little bit every day, just like you. The sun will give it food and help it stretch towards the sky. And when it's big," she continued, "real birds will build their nests in its branches. It will give us shade on hot days and clean the air we breathe. When you plant a tree, you are giving a gift of life to the whole world." Raoul looked at the spot where his seed was sleeping. He wasn't just sad about his toy bird anymore. He felt happy and proud. He had planted a new home for future birds. He had given the world a new life. The night the stars woke up, Lily sat on the floor, surrounded by glowing screens and bright lights. The television chattered, a tablet blinked, and every lamp was on. But even with all the noise and light, Lily felt a little bit bored. "I have an idea," said her dad, seeing her sigh. "How about we go on a special night adventure?" Lily looked up, curious. "An adventure?" Mom heard them and smiled. "That sounds like a wonderful idea." Together, they went through the house, turning everything off. Click went the TV, click went the tablet, click, click, click went the lights, until the whole house was quiet and dark. Dad opened the back door. "Ready?" he whispered. Lily stepped outside into the garden. It was much darker than she was used to, and for a moment, she couldn't see anything at all. "Just wait a moment," said her mom softly, and look up. Lily tipped her head back. As her eyes got used to the dark, she gasped. The sky, which was usually just black, was filled with millions of tiny, twinkling lights. "Wow," she whispered. Dad spread a big, soft blanket on the grass. "Come on, stargazers," he said. They all lay down, side by side, their faces turned up to the sparkling sky. Lily snuggled between them. "There are so many stars," she said. "I never see them like this from my window." "That's because all our lights inside make it hard to see them," Dad explained. "The starlight travels a very, very long way to reach us. When we turn off our lights, we give the stars a chance to shine. And when we turn off our lights, we also save energy," added Mom. "Using less electricity helps keep our planet healthy and strong. It's a small thing we can do that makes a big difference for the Earth." Lily looked from the bright stars to her parents' smiling faces. Saving energy didn't just help the Earth. It had let her see this beautiful secret show in the sky. She decided that turning off the lights was her new favorite superpower. The wonderful journey of Drip the Water Drop. Meet Drip. He was a tiny, happy water drop. He lived with all his brothers and sisters in a big, splashy puddle. They loved to wiggle and jiggle and play all day long. One morning, the big, warm sun peeked out. It smiled down on the puddle. "Ooh," said Drip, feeling a strange tickle. "I feel so light." He felt himself starting to float up, up, up. "Whee!" giggled Drip as he drifted higher and higher into the big blue sky. He was lighter than a feather. He waved goodbye to the world far below. He was on an adventure. High in the sky, Drip found lots of other water drops who were floating too. "Hello," they all said. They held hands and snuggled close together, making a soft, fluffy white cloud. More and more water drops joined their party. The cloud grew bigger and bigger, and a little bit gray. "It's getting crowded in here," Drip said, as he was gently squished between two new friends. Soon, the cloud was too full and heavy to float anymore. "Whoops!" it wobbled. "Here we go," shouted Drip, and he began to fall, down, 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 back toward the green earth below. He was a raindrop. Drip landed gently on the petal of a thirsty red flower. "Ah, thank you," whispered the flower, taking a long, cool drink. Drip felt very proud that he could help the flower feel better. Then, Drip rolled off the flower petal and plink, He landed in a little stream that was trickling through the grass. "Come on," the stream bubbled. "We have places to go and things to see." The stream flowed into a big river. As Drip rushed along, he saw thirsty deer drinking from the bank and tall trees growing strong. "Wow," thought Drip, "every single drop is so important for everyone." Drip's journey continued in the big, wide river. He knew that soon the sun would smile down again, and his amazing adventure through the sky would start all over, and he couldn't wait. Valerie's Victory Ride. Valerie had a brand new bicycle, shiny and blue like a summer sky. It was perfect in every way, except for one small thing. The training wheels were gone, and suddenly, the bike seemed wobbly and tall, and much too big for a girl like her. "You're ready for this," her mom Clara said, giving her shoulder a gentle squeeze. "Just look ahead and pedal." Valerie took a shaky breath, climbed on, and pushed off. The bike wobbled left, then right, and then tumbled over, landing her softly on the grass with a little oomph. "I can't do it," Valerie said, her bottom lip trembling. The path ahead looked like a long, winding ribbon, and her confidence felt as wobbly as the bike. "It's too hard." Her mom sat beside her on the grass. "Every great journey starts with a little wobble," she said softly. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you try anyway. Think of your confidence as a little engine inside you. It's ready to go when you are." Valerie looked from her mom's smiling face to the shiny blue bike. She thought about the little engine inside her. She stood up, brushed the grass off her shorts, and put her hands back on the handlebars. "Okay," she whispered to herself. "Engine on." This time, Valerie didn't look down at her feet. She looked straight ahead at a big, yellow butterfly fluttering down the path. She pushed off, her feet found the pedals, and she started to pedal. Wobble, wobble. Then, magic. The bike stayed up, and the wind began to whisper in her ears. "I'm doing it," she shouted with a laugh. A warm, bubbly feeling spread all through her. It was confidence. It felt like sunshine. She glanced back and saw her mom clapping and cheering, growing smaller and smaller as Valerie pedaled on. The path wasn't scary anymore. It was an adventure waiting to happen. Valerie rode past the tall slide, around the cheerful duck pond, and up a gentle green hill she had always been too nervous to climb before. And at the very top of the hill, she found a secret. A hidden meadow bloomed with wildflowers of every color, and tiny butterflies danced in the warm air. From here, she could see her whole neighborhood. It was a view she had never seen before. Valerie took a deep, happy breath. Her mom was right. Her little engine of confidence had brought her somewhere new and beautiful. She knew, as she hopped back on her bike, that this was only the beginning. With confidence, she could ride anywhere she could imagine. The Friendship Map. Maya, Leo, and Chloe were the best of friends. Their favorite place in the whole world was their cozy treehouse, nestled in the branches of a big oak tree. But on this sunny afternoon, a long sigh escaped Maya. "I wish we had a real adventure," she said, looking out the window. Just then, Chloe, who was sweeping the floor, bumped a loose floorboard. Clunk. Underneath, tucked away in the shadows, was a dusty, rolled-up tube tied with a faded red ribbon. "What's this?" she chirped, her eyes wide with excitement. Carefully, they untied the ribbon and unrolled their discovery. It was a map, not like any map they had ever seen. It was drawn on old, crinkly paper and showed familiar places in their town. The park, the library, the old bridge, but with strange symbols and a winding dotted line that ended in a big, bold X. "A treasure map," Maya declared, her boredom completely forgotten. "We have to follow it," Leo looked a little nervous. "It looks really old," he said, but Chloe was already grabbing her backpack. "An adventure? Let's go." The first symbol on the map led them to the giant, twisty slide at the park. The clue was supposed to be at the very top. "It's too high for me to reach," said Chloe. "I have an idea," said Leo. He knelt down, and Maya climbed carefully onto his shoulders to retrieve a small, carved wooden bird from a nook at the top of the slide. The wooden bird had a tiny riddle carved on its wing, "Where stories sleep and silence speaks." "The library," whispered Chloe. Inside, they tiptoed through the tall shelves. The map led them to a big book about pirates. Tucked inside was the next clue, a single, shiny key. The key fit perfectly into a rusty lock on a forgotten gate behind the old stone bridge. Creak! The gate swung open into a part of the woods they had never explored before. The path was overgrown, and the trees whispered secrets to the wind. Leo held Maya's hand for a moment. "As long as we're together," he said. Finally, the dotted line on the map ended. In the middle of a sun-dappled clearing stood a small, weathered wooden chest. The X was marked on the ground right in front of it. "We found it!" They all cheered, gathering around the chest, their hearts thumping with excitement. With a deep breath, they lifted the heavy lid. Inside, there was no gold or sparkling jewels. Instead, nestled on a bed of soft moss, were 3 smooth gray stones. Each stone had a part of a picture carved on it. When they placed them together, they formed a perfect circle of 3 friends holding hands. Underneath the stones was a small, folded note. Maya unfolded the note and read it aloud. "The greatest treasure is not what you find, but who you find it with." They looked at the stones, then at each other, and smiled. They hadn't found gold, but they had solved riddles, been brave, and done it all together. Sitting there in the golden afternoon light, they knew the note was right. Their friendship was the real treasure. Luke's paper rocket. Luke was a boy with stars in his eyes and a universe in his head. His favorite adventures didn't happen in a park or a playground, but right on the floor of his room, with paper, scissors, and a box of colorful crayons. Today, he was building his greatest creation yet, a rocket ship. He folded and taped and drew fiery fins and a pointy nose cone. He named his ship the Starhopper and wrote his name, Captain Luke, right on the side. It wasn't just paper and crayons anymore. It was a promise of adventure. 10, 9, 8, Luke whispered. Holding the Starhopper tight, he closed his eyes and imagined the rumble of mighty engines. 3, 2, 1, blast off, he shouted. A great whoosh filled the room. When he opened his eyes, his bedroom was gone. He and the Starhopper were soaring through a sea of sparkling, twinkling stars. Planets swirled by like giant marbles, and the moon smiled down at him like an old friend. Captain Luke steered the Starhopper towards a fluffy, glowing comet. He landed with a gentle poof. Sitting on the comet, humming a sparkly tune, was a little creature shaped just like a star. "Hello," the star creature chirped. "My name is Nova." "Welcome to the cosmic stream," Nova said, pointing a sparkly arm. "You can see everything from here." Together, they watched ringed planets do slow cartwheels and shooting stars play tag across the velvet black sky. "Your ship is very nice," Nova said, tapping the Starhopper gently. "It's made of paper, but it flew all the way here." Luke nodded proudly. "It's powered by dreams," Nova explained, "and dreams can fly farther than anything else in the universe." The sun began to peek over the edge of Luke's world, which meant it was time to go home. "Will you come back?" Nova asked. "Just follow a dream," Luke promised. He waved goodbye as he climbed back into the Starhopper. With another great whoosh, the Starhopper took off. The swirling planets and twinkling stars slowly faded, and soon, Luke saw the familiar sight of his bookshelf and his cozy blue rug. He landed gently back on the floor of his room. The adventure was over, but the magic remained. Luke held his paper rocket in his hands. It was still just paper and crayons, but now he knew its secret. He knew that even the simplest things could take you on the greatest journeys, as long as you had a dream to fly on. Pauline's Secret Garden. Pauline was a girl who loved stories, but she felt her own world was rather short on magic. One sunny afternoon, she wandered to the very back of her garden, to a place she'd never explored before, where a stone wall was almost completely hidden by ivy. Behind the ivy, she found a little wooden gate. With a gentle push, it creaked open, revealing a secret garden. It was a tangle of weeds and wildflowers, and many of the flowers drooped, looking thirsty and sad. Pauline felt a pang of sadness for the neglected plants. She reached out to touch the petals of a beautiful, drooping rose. "Oh, a little water would be so lovely," a soft voice sighed. Pauline jumped back. The voice had come from the rose. Though startled, Pauline's kindness took over. She found an old watering can, filled it, and gave the thirsty rose a long drink. "Thank you," the rose whispered, lifting its head slightly. Then other small voices piped up. "We need more sun," cried a patch of daisies, their faces hidden by a big weed. A tall sunflower, whose face was wise and warm like the sun, turned towards her. "This garden is magical, little one," he boomed gently, "but its magic fades without a helping hand. Each life here is precious and has a part to play." Pauline understood. She spent the rest of the afternoon working in the secret garden. She cleared away choking weeds, gently turned the soil, and made sure every flower had enough space and light. The flowers sang her songs of thanks and told her stories of the sun and the rain. She came to a prickly thistle who grumbled, "Be careful there." Pauline almost pulled him out, but a tiny violet whispered, "Don't. His prickles keep the hungry rabbits from eating us." Pauline learned that even the grumpy plants had an important job. As the flowers grew stronger, the garden filled with life. Busy bees buzzed from blossom to blossom, and colorful butterflies danced in the air. "They are our helpers," sang the daisies. "They share our sweetness with the whole garden." As the sun began to set, it cast a golden glow over the garden. It was no longer sad and tangled. It was a paradise of vibrant colors and happy sounds. The flowers stood tall and proud, their faces turned towards Pauline. "Thank you, our garden keeper," they chimed in a beautiful chorus. Pauline's heart felt as full and bright as the garden. She knew this wasn't just a place of magic, but a place of purpose. "I'll be back tomorrow," she promised. And she knew that caring for this little piece of the world was the greatest adventure of all. The Dream Chaser Express. Leo was a boy whose head was always in the clouds, dreaming of adventures far away. One evening, a ticket shimmered on his windowsill, glowing like a captured moonbeam. It read, "The Dream Chaser Express." Just then, a train that sparkled with the light of 1,000 fireflies chuffed silently to a stop right outside his house. A kind-faced conductor, with a twinkle in his eye, tipped his hat. "Welcome aboard the Dream Chaser Express, Leo," he said. "We've been expecting you." Leo stepped inside and gasped. The first car was a candy wonderland. A river of chocolate swirled past. Lollipop trees grew in sugary soil, and tiny gingerbread houses puffed marshmallow smoke from their chimneys. The next car was a wild jungle. Green vines hung from the ceiling, and the air was filled with the chatter of friendly monkeys. "My biggest dream is to be an explorer," Leo thought, as he bravely swung on a thick vine. Through another door, Leo found himself in outer space. Planets of all colors drifted by the windows, and the ceiling was a blanket of twinkling stars. He put on a shiny astronaut helmet and bounced gently, as if he were walking on the moon. The fourth car was quiet and calm. The walls were giant, empty canvases, and pots of paint glowed with every color imaginable. Leo picked up a brush, dipped it in shimmering red paint, and began to paint his greatest masterpiece, a friendly dragon with sparkling wings. Next, he entered a car filled with music. Notes danced in the air, and instruments played themselves. A cheerful trumpet, a happy drum, and a singing violin. Leo found a conductor's baton and waved it, leading the magical orchestra in a joyful song. The storybook car was the coziest of all. Bookshelves reached the ceiling, and comfy chairs were everywhere. As Leo opened a book, a brave knight and a clever princess stepped right out of the pages to say hello. The train began to slow, its gentle chuffing turning into a soft hum. The conductor appeared beside him. "We are arriving back home, Leo," he said kindly. "But remember, all these adventures are yours to keep." Leo blinked and found himself tucked snugly in his own bed. Was it all a dream, he wondered. Then, his fingers found something in his pajama pocket. It was the ticket, still shimmering with a faint, magical light. The Dream Chaser Express was real, and he knew it would be back for another adventure. Claire and the Starlight Lantern. Claire was a brave girl in the daytime, but when the lights went out, her room changed. The friendly chair in the corner grew long, spindly arms, and the pile of toys under her window became a lumpy beast waiting to pounce. The dark was full of secrets, and Claire was afraid of every single one. One sunny afternoon, her grandma came to visit. She listened carefully as Claire whispered about the nighttime monsters. Grandma nodded, then brought out a small, beautiful lantern made of dark wood and glass etched with tiny stars. "This is a starlight lantern," she said softly. "It holds a little bit of nighttime magic." That night, as the shadows began to creep in, Claire's heart thumped like a drum. She remembered the lantern. With a trembling finger, she flicked the small switch on its side. A warm, golden light bloomed in the room, soft and gentle. It didn't chase the shadows away. Instead, it danced with them. The light shone through the glass, and tiny, glowing stars were projected all over her walls and ceiling, turning her room into a magical galaxy. The monster with spindly arms was gone. In its place, the lantern's light showed her what was really there, her favorite armchair with her sweater draped over it. The shadow it cast now looked like a friendly bear, raising a paw to say hello. She looked at the lumpy beast under the window. The starlight showed her it was just her forgotten pile of stuffed animals and blocks. Their combined shadow no longer looked like a monster, but like a funny, lopsided castle waiting for a princess. The scary scratching at her window wasn't a monster's claws. In the gentle glow, Claire could see it was only the branch of the old oak tree, swaying in the breeze. Its shadow on the curtain looked like it was waving goodnight. Claire giggled. The lantern wasn't magic because it made the dark go away. It was magic because it helped her see what was truly there. The monsters were just shadows, and shadows were nothing to be afraid of. Feeling brave, Claire picked up the lantern and tiptoed around her room, introducing herself to all the familiar shapes. "Hello, Mr. Armchair Bear," she whispered. "Good night, Lumpy Castle." The dark was no longer a scary place. It was her kingdom. The next night, when her mom turned off the light, Claire took a deep breath. She didn't turn on the lantern right away. She looked into the soft darkness and saw her chair, her toys, and the tree outside. She knew the bravery wasn't in the lantern. The bravery, like the starlight, was inside her all along. Thomas and the Wonder Balloon. Thomas was a boy who dreamed of clouds, not just watching them, but touching them. In his grandfather's old workshop, covered in a dusty sheet, was his dream machine, a hot air balloon, folded and forgotten. It was patched in a dozen places, and the basket was woven with stories of old adventures. One sunny morning, with a heart full of courage and a map drawn in crayon, Thomas decided it was time. He dragged the balloon out into a wide, green field. With a mighty whoosh from the burner, the colorful fabric began to swell, rising like a sleepy giant waking from a long nap. The basket gave a little lurch, and then, gently, it lifted off the ground. His house, his street, his whole town grew smaller and smaller, until they looked like tiny toys on a giant green carpet. "Wow," Thomas whispered, his face pressed against the side of the basket. He steered the balloon towards a big, fluffy cloud that looked like a scoop of vanilla ice cream. As he floated inside, everything turned soft and white. But then he saw it. The cloud wasn't just water vapor. It was a floating island with rivers of sparkling dew and trees made of spun sugar. He landed the balloon softly on the sugary ground. He tasted a leaf from a lollipop tree and watched tiny, shimmering birds with wings like stained glass flit from branch to branch. The air hummed with a sweet, quiet melody. But adventure was calling. Thomas waved goodbye to the Candy Island and soared higher. Above the clouds, the sky turned a deep, midnight blue, even though it was still daytime. Here, the stars weren't just dots of light. They were giant, glowing crystals that chimed like bells when the balloon drifted past them. Next, he dipped below the clouds and found a world that made him giggle. It was a land of upside-down mountains. Their snowy peaks pointed down towards a sparkling sea, and waterfalls flowed upwards, disappearing into the sky. As he floated near one of the floating peaks, a friendly creature with fur like moss and gentle, glowing eyes peeked out from a cave. It chittered softly and offered Thomas a glowing fruit that tasted like sunshine and laughter. Thomas knew he couldn't stay forever. He thanked his new friend and turned the balloon towards home. He flew back past the crystal stars and through the candy floss clouds, his mind buzzing with all the incredible things he had seen. He landed the balloon gently in the same green field just as the sun began to set, painting the real sky with colors of orange and purple. The world outside his balloon was familiar, but Thomas saw it differently now. He knew it was just one small part of a universe filled with endless wonders, waiting to be discovered. Anna's sky painting umbrella. Anna loved gray days. While others missed the sun, Anna found magic in the soft light and the pitter-patter of raindrops. On one such drizzly afternoon, tucked away in her grandmother's attic, she found something special, a plain, forgotten umbrella. It wasn't a fancy umbrella. The handle was smooth, worn wood, and the cloth was a simple, cloudy gray. But as Anna's fingers brushed against the fabric, she felt a tiny hum, like a secret waiting to be told. "I think you need some fresh air," she whispered to it. Outside, the world was a watercolor of grays and blues. Anna took a deep breath of the rain-scented air and, with a little swoosh, she popped the umbrella open above her head. The moment it opened, a brilliant ribbon of ruby red unfurled from the top of the umbrella and painted itself across the clouds. Anna gasped, her eyes wide. The gray sky was now streaked with a vibrant, joyful red. She closed it and opened it again. Whoosh! A new color, a sunny, cheerful yellow, arched right next to the red. Again, whoosh! A deep, calming blue. With every opening, a new color decorated the sky, creating a magnificent rainbow that wasn't supposed to be there. Soon, windows and doors began to open. Her neighbor, Mr. Chen, peeked out. "My goodness," he exclaimed, pointing up. The baker, Mrs. Rosa, came out of her shop, wiping flour from her hands, her eyes wide with wonder. More people gathered in the street, their faces turned to the sky. They pointed and smiled at the magical colors dancing above them. The usual quiet gray street was now filled with chatter and laughter. A little boy named Leo, who was usually too shy to speak, tugged on Anna's sleeve. Can I try?" he asked quietly. Anna's heart filled with a warm glow. The magic wasn't just for her, it was for everyone. "Of course," she said, handing him the umbrella. Leo's face lit up. He opened it, and a brilliant splash of emerald green joined the rainbow in the sky. Everyone cheered. One by one, the neighbors took turns, each adding their own color to the sky. The rain stopped, but the colors remained, a beautiful tapestry woven by the whole neighborhood. The plain, gray umbrella had painted their world with joy and brought everyone together. Anna smiled, knowing that the most beautiful magic is the magic that is shared. Martin's magnificent castle. Martin loved the beach. He loved the salty air and the squishy sand between his toes. But most of all, he loved to build. Today, he was going to build the biggest, most magnificent sandcastle the world had ever seen. He scooped up wet sand, plopping it down as fast as he could. Higher, higher! he chanted. But the faster he went, the more the walls of his castle wibbled and wobbled and tumbled down. Sploosh! Grr! Martin stomped his foot. This was not magnificent. This was a mess. He plopped down on the sand with a huff, ready to give up. Just then, he saw a tiny crab, carefully digging a hole, one little clawful at a time. The crab didn't rush. It took its time, scooping and patting, scooping and patting. Slowly but surely, its little home in the sand grew deeper and stronger. Martin watched, his frustration melting away. Patience, Martin whispered to himself. He remembered his grandpa telling him that word. Great things are achieved with patience. He picked up his shovel. He would try again, but this time he would be slow and steady. First, he built a strong, wide base. He packed the sand down firmly with the back of his shovel. Pat, pat, pat. He hummed a little tune, no longer in a hurry. Then, scoop by scoop, he started building his towers. One scoop, pat it down. Another scoop, pat it down. He used a seashell to carve a big door and his fingers to poke little windows. The sun began to dip towards the ocean, painting the sky orange and pink. Martin stood back and looked at his work. It wasn't just a sand castle, it was a sand fortress. It had tall towers, a strong wall, and he'd even dug a moat all the way around. A few other children who were packing up their toys came over to see. "Whoa," said a little girl. "That's the best sandcastle ever." A boy asked, "How did you build it so big?" Martin looked at his magnificent castle, then over to where the little crab had been working. He smiled a big, happy smile. "With a little bit of patience," he said proudly, and he knew it was true. Sophia's Star Cake. Sophia was a little girl who loved the night more than the day. Not for the crickets or the moon, but for the stars. "I wish I could bake a cake that shines just like them," she would sigh, her nose pressed against her window pane. One day, Sophia decided she would try. She got out the flour, the eggs, and the sugar. She mixed and stirred with all her might, imagining a night sky in her bowl. She put the cake in the oven, hoping for magic to happen. But when the timer buzzed, Sophia's cake was just a cake. It was brown, it smelled delicious, but it didn't shine. Not one little bit. A tear rolled down her cheek and landed on the sparkleless cake. Just then, her grandmother came into the kitchen. "What's the matter, my little star?" she asked, wrapping Sophia in a warm hug. Sophia sniffled. "I wanted to make a star cake, but I forgot the sparkle." Grandmother smiled. But the most important ingredient isn't found in the pantry. The best ingredient of all," she whispered, "is imagination." "Let's try again," said Grandmother. "First, we need to catch some moonlight." They went into the garden and pretended to scoop the silvery moonbeams into their hands and add them to the bowl. Next, they added a whisper of the night wind and 3 firefly giggles. Sophia laughed as she stirred the batter, which now seemed to swirl with an invisible light, and a pinch of shooting star wishes. Sophia added. They put the new cake in the oven. This time, as it baked, a soft, warm light began to glow from inside the oven, filling the kitchen with a golden haze. Sophia and her grandmother watched with wide eyes. Ding! The cake was ready. When Grandmother opened the oven door, Sophia gasped. The cake was glowing with a soft, twinkling light. Tiny specks of light danced on the frosting, like a real piece of the night sky. Sophia and her grandmother cut 2 slices. The cake tasted like chocolate, sweet dreams, and a hint of starlight magic. Sophia smiled, her face lit up by her creation. She had learned that the very best ingredient can't be bought, only imagined.